Welcome to Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. Donald Trump tested positive for COVID-19 earlier this month. The White House has contingency plans in case something happens to him. So do I. I'm playing Wine Fairy to all of my friends and having a big party over Zoom. When news of the diagnosis came out, Fox started composing and recording funeral music, just in case. Ivanka Trump tweeted that her father is a warrior and that he would beat the virus. I don't know, Ivanka. This seems a lot more serious than non-existent bone spurs. If Trump loses this election, they'll have to fumigate the White House before Joe Biden moves in. They were planning to do that before COVID, just to get rid of 4 years of Big Mac-induced farts. For months, Trump has been ignoring the virus and is now using it to his political advantage. Basically, he's treating the virus like one of his kids. I can't wait until I go to family gatherings and hug my relatives again. Not out of affection. I may be asymptomatic, and there are a few older relatives I want to put out of their misery. Luckily, none of them are thinking of listening to this podcast, so I'm safe. Waffle houses across the country have tables and chairs outside so customers can eat to maintain social distancing. Basically, Waffle House has made it look like Paris if it decided to go American white trash. In Maryland, the first thing to open were golf courses. Not the least of which is because the last person to which anyone wants to be closer than 6 feet is someone who dresses for golf. Presumably the people who tend to want to golf during a pandemic are such dicks, their families can't wait to get them out of the house. The University of Alabama reported 560 coronavirus cases in the first week of classes. Sadly, this is the closest that anyone in Alabama has ever come to working with a petri dish. CNN suspended analyst Jeffrey Toobin after he accidentally flashed himself during an online meeting. It's a shame for Jeffrey Toobin that he isn't a comedian. If he was, Louis C.K. would have taken him on tour. Sports teams this year had cutouts of fans to help combat the spread of the virus. Most notably, the Miami Marlins did not do this because the pandemic is so bad in Florida that even the cutouts tested positive. Similarly, they didn't do that at Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore because the cutouts overdosed on heroin.
Oh.
You know your team sucks when the only thing that can fill their stadium parking lots is free COVID-19 testing. After testing positive for the virus, Justin Turner returned to the field and posed without a mask with the Los Angeles Dodgers following their World Series win. In response, the Republican National Committee offered him a job. Not as a candidate for office. They want him to talk to voters in mostly non-white and economically disadvantaged precincts. On that note, on with the show. Now, because I'm known as a selfish asshole and a notorious douchebag, it's been advised that I not do this podcast on my own. So, joining me to absorb some of the hate on social media and elsewhere, Jeff Hysen and Abby Mello.
Hey, Tom.
I did not sign up for that.
Abby, how have you been during this pandemic?
Yeah, no, I'm just, living the dream in a 1-bedroom apartment in downtown Baltimore, where they haven't picked up our trash or recycling in weeks. And just really, it's been real heaven over here.
And then the pandemic took over.
Right. Yeah. And that was January.
Jeff, how about you?
It's not what I envisioned when I retired from my job with the federal government. I worked for 31 years with the federal government, and I expected to spend some time traveling and being outdoors a lot. And none of that's happened. And basically, I'm in the same situation as I would have been if I stayed at work, which would be sitting in the house and on Zoom a lot.
While you were employed by the federal government, you were basically holding everything together the whole time.
I wasn't. You're absolutely right. It all went to hell. It wasn't.
Have you guys been doing, I've seen you guys a lot on Facebook and all doing like Zoom shows?
Yeah, but it's not the same. Having nobody laugh is what's supposed to happen. When you're at a bar with a disinterested crowd, no one's laughing and you get frustrated because they may not be there for the show. They're talking to their friends. Here, again, you're used to nobody laughing, but there's nobody to laugh.
I'm starting to like performing on Zoom and Skype. I like doing stuff like this. I mean, I love the live stuff better because I like being in front of an audience. But, the thing is, if you piss off an audience member during a live show, they'll want to, fight you afterwards and kick your ass. But, if I'm performing at home, then someone who's pissed off will have to find out where I live. And even if they do find out where I live, there's a very good chance that they'll get taken out by a Maryland driver. There are many theories about the origins of COVID-19, from as simple as someone eating a bat in China to a lab funded by the deep state manufacturing the virus to keep us docile. Such theories also stretch as to why the virus hit the country with such vigor. I have my own theory as to why the virus started by heavily striking New York City, mainly that COVID-19 is China's revenge for New York City comedians defending Shane Gillis. Joining us tonight to discuss this topic is Forbes magazine contributor and science writer Tara Haelle.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show. I imagine you've not had any free time lately.
No,
the past 8 months.
And especially March. March was a bit of a blur because it was just nonstop work. Just pumping out stories and explaining things to people. And then I eventually crashed. But yeah, March was crazy. A lot of it was just explaining basic epidemiology, how epidemiology works, how you look for where a disease originated and how it moves through a population, explaining epidemiological terms, just explaining the lingo because it's something that I'm familiar with because I've been writing about it for so long, explaining top concepts like herd immunity and PCR testing, pre-symptomatic versus asymptomatic infection, why it takes so long to get a vaccine, like what the vaccine process is, all kinds of things like that. And one of the big ones more recently has been the difference between what, airborne versus droplet transmission versus aerosols transmission. That's been a big one it continues to be confusing for a lot of people. I think people still don't quite get that it's not air you have to worry about. It's people and people in the air around you that you have to worry about. There seems to be this misunderstanding that, if you walk outside your door, it's equal risk to standing in line inside of a restaurant. And oh, no, it's a continuum risk. And walking outside your door is just fine. And walking into a restaurant, that's a much higher risk. So, a lot of it's been risk communication, helping people understand how to make sense of the risks and understand how to assess, what they feel comfortable doing.
Would you recommend anything that people would go to if they want any particular information? I mean, I know cable news ratings have gone up because they have, experts on there talking about stuff like that. Do you recommend that people rely on only that kind of stuff for information, or is there anything else?
Well, I'll be honest, I have not watched a news show on television in over a decade because for the most part, I'm not very impressed with TV journalism. That's not to say there isn't some good TV journalism out there. There is, but it's hard to find. It's the exception rather than the rule. And that even goes for networks that I think have fantastic reporters, honestly. I can recommend several publications online for reading. Elemental is one that I read a lot, which a lot of people haven't even heard of. It's a Medium publication, but it's an actual, it actually has editors and they have fantastic work. Washington Post has been doing a crackerjack job as they have for the past several years anyway. I recommend Science Magazine if people want to get into the nitty-gritty science news. And I recommend STAT, S-T-A-T, that they've been doing. I mean, STAT is actually who broke. Helen Branswell is a colleague of mine who works at STAT, and she's the one who broke the story about the coronavirus. The New York Times has done an okay job, but I have some issues with some of their reporting. Their reporting has been spotty in different ways, just as it has been with election and politics. So it's kind of like you got to know, you want to, if you read the New York Times, you want to read other sources too, which is kind of a sad thing for me to say since I've written for them. But if I had to choose just one source to regularly go to that was covering all kinds of news, not just coronavirus, Washington Post really is the gold standard right now. They've been doing a phenomenal job, but I certainly don't want to leave out some of the other. Scientific American's done a great job if you want to get into the science.
As far as the White House is concerned, the pandemic is over. It's almost like a frog being in a pot of slowly boiling water. It won't realize the water is boiling until it's too late, killing the frog. In this scenario, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows is the frog, except he realizes the water is boiling, and he's willing himself into his political death, as we can see from these clips where he's talking to CNN's Jake Tapper, and again, while conversing with reporters.
So here's what we have to do. we're not going to control the pandemic. We are going to control the fact that we get vaccines, therapeutics, and other mitigation.
Why aren't we going to get
areas
control of the pandemic?
Because it is a contagious virus, just like the flu.
Yeah, but why not make efforts to contain it?
Well, we are making efforts to contain it.
By running all over the country, not wearing a mask?
I tell you what, let me do this. Let me pull this away.
Yep, pull away.
And then that way I can take this off the top. Well, I'm more than 10 feet away. I'm not going to talk through a mask.
I love how he thinks, he's not going to answer any questions as a threat.
He's basically saying, we're not going to try to prevent anyone from getting it. We just want people to not die from it. He's like, we're going to give people drugs, vaccines. And I'm like, this is the equivalent of being like, no. We have plenty of condoms. We're not going to hand them out. We just really want to invest in syphilis medicine. And we hope nobody gets to the stage where their brain starts disintegrating. We're going to catch them before that. But condoms, that's just too much. Who could stop the spread?
We're not going to tell you what you can do not to get syphilis. Which is what they could be doing.
Yeah, that pretty much nails it. I've seen that clip, and toward the end of that clip, he actually contradicts himself anyway. He just says, "Oh yeah, no, we are going to try and control it," but then he immediately says after that, "But we're not going to." I mean, it doesn't. There's clearly he doesn't know what the hell he's saying. He doesn't know.
If you get it, it's on you. We don't want you to get it, but if you want to go to a Smash Mouth concert, that's fine. You can do that.
Or the White House.
Or a Trump rally.
From the early days of coronavirus, medical experts and media outlets have been warning us about the danger, trying to explain how to protect oneself and keep one healthy using the most understandable of terms. It led to this segment on a Vox DC affiliate morning news show.
I'm really worried about this coronavirus. Now, it's okay, Dr. Pop. I did some research. Check it out. Now, I want to say what I have found. There's a little flex virus going through town. Teeny tiny like the sand in your hand, even smaller than a grain. Making waves like a grand band. Boom. Hold on tight, listen to me. Prevention now is the key. Wash your hands thoroughly and sneeze in your sleeve respectfully. Because I don't want to get corona. I don't want to get it. Make sure do what doctors told ya. I'm gonna cough in the rack, not gonna sneeze in my hand. I won't touch my eyes, my ears, my nose with both of my hands. Wow, that was a lot of information. So let's recap. I should wash my hands thoroughly, cover my mouth when I sneeze or cough. I shouldn't touch my eyes, ears, or nose. And if I do feel sick, I should wear a mask. Dr. Pop, anything else? And of course, see my doctor. That's us.
Dr. Pop would be a better Surgeon General than the guy we currently have.
That was delightful. And yes, can we hire them?
I thought they were great. Keep in mind, I mean, at the time that they sung that, we didn't know what we know now about the value of masks for asymptomatic spread, and it was not it wasn't as all over the place as it is now.
And it was on a Fox affiliate. So of all the stuff on Fox for Trump not to watch, it's in DC. He can access it from his television set.
Right.
The efforts to control the spread of a highly contagious and deadly virus seem somewhat inconvenient for Donald Trump, who still insists on greeting large audiences on a sacrificial altar known as his rallies. This could explain him being confused about his opponent's socially distanced events, as we can see from this clip from one of his rallies.
You can't have political rallies. That's because of me. Because of Biden, we're here and about 3 people. Do you ever see him with his little circles, a circle? You know why he puts the circles? Because he wants to be correct with COVID, but it's not really. Because they can't get anybody to fill up a room, so they put these big circles. So he can't get anybody to fill. Nobody wants to go.
I'm pretty sure he was doing that whole circle thing, the motion with his hands, because he was trying to remind himself what a circle was. And they said, no one wants to come to his rally. It's like, no one wants to get sick and die. Maybe Joe Biden, maybe we have a guy running for president who doesn't want to kill his supporters.
We're trying to be responsible.
I do find it hugely ironic that it does feel like Trump is trying to kill off his own base. It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, I don't know if that makes him a true believer or if that makes him just ultra in denial, but that is the most baffling part of me. I mean, at the very least, wait until after the election to kill him off.
Trump's return to the White House, just 3 days after his diagnosis, saw him posing for photographers and cameras on the Truman balcony, gasping and looking like a rotisserie chicken that's just been cooked in a nuclear fallout zone, looking like an old-school shrinky-dink that's been left in the oven overnight. Coincidentally, shrinky-dink is another one of Stormy Daniels' nicknames for Trump's penis. He released a series of videos on his Twitter feed, such as this one.
I took over a depleted military, old equipment, broken equipment. Even in the Army, all brand new uniforms with the belt. Everybody wanted the belt. We're taking care of our seniors. You're not vulnerable, but they like to say the vulnerable, but you're the least vulnerable. But for this one thing, you are vulnerable, and so am I.
I like to speak like I'm an idiot, but I'm not an idiot, except you know what? I am. What was happening to his face? It looked like it was falling off. It used to be I'd have to pop in Raiders of the Lost Ark if I wanted to see a Nazi sympathizer's face melting. We can see the anti-mask sentiment and the carelessness of Trump seep through to his supporters, as we can see from this CNN clip, which left even Don Lemon speechless.
A day after the Woodward bombshells, the president held a rally in Michigan, no social distancing, few masks. Our Jim Acosta caught up with some of the attendees. Listen to this.
Why are you guys not wearing masks?
I have one with me. It's my prerogative.
But why not wear one to stay safe?
I have a hard time understanding people when they talk, so that's why I don't wear it.
But you can hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Sure. Why are you not wearing your mask?
Because there's no COVID. It's a fake pandemic created to destroy the United States of America.
But the president said to Bob Woodward that there is a virus, the coronavirus, and that it is deadly.
That's his opinion. The truth is that the CDC said there's only less than 10,000 people die from COVID. The other 190,000 have 2.6 or 2.8 other mortalities.
Does it worry you guys at all to be in this crowded space with all these?
I'm not afraid. The good Lord takes care of me. If I die, I die. We got to get this country moving. Can't. What are you going to do? Wear masks and stay inside for another year? Huh? Where will that get us?
Okay. I don't want to.
Oh, I wanna. And you know what? I think I will. It's baffling what these guys think. Oh, the good Lord will protect me. Well, if the good Lord will protect you, you should ask the good Lord to make you not so fucking stupid.
I will say, though, I want to point something out here that I think is interesting that a lot of people haven't taken into account. As a journalist, I think people often don't take into account how journalists put themselves into danger to do their jobs. We think about that when they go overseas to cover conflicts. But what was happening there? He was just in a very large crowd. And sure, he was wearing a mask. It looked like an N95. I'm not sure. But the point is, he was putting himself at risk to do that report. And I just want to point that out because I know reporters often get bad raps, and there's plenty of reporters who are crap. But most reporters, we go into this business because we really care about the truth and getting accurate information out to people and ensuring that they have the information they need to make decisions. And a lot of times that means doing things that put ourselves in danger. And I just want to point that out because a lot of people, I don't think that's been mentioned much during the pandemic.
Of course, when top figureheads of the government give an, at best, ambivalent view of wearing masks, it can lead to instances like this Instagram video that went viral, but not for the reasons the person filming it thinks.
I was picture on my 3,000 follower Instagram feed, mostly locals.
Hi everyone, I work for Costco and I'm asking this member to put on a mask because that is our company policy. So either wear the mask
and I'm not doing it because I woke up in a free country.
Have a great day.
So you're going to take this car from me?
Sir, have a great
Full
day.
of stuff.
You are no longer welcome here in our warehouse. You need to leave. Thank you very much.
You put it on, I'll give you my card. He's going to take the card away because he's a There he is, walking away with all my stuff. There he goes. Because I'm not a sheep.
What do you want to bet that right after he posted that, he got 3,000 comments from all his followers saying, "You're a dick"?
I don't know. If they were following him, they probably thought, yeah, stick it to the libs. Let's die for them.
Let me ask three of you, how did Costco and Trader Joe become the battlegrounds?
They're private companies, like they can pretty much do whatever they want. So whenever someone goes in and says, oh, this is an infringement of my First Amendment rights, the First Amendment only apply if it's the government trying to stop you from doing something or saying you have to do something.
Correct.
So
it's not just Costco and Trader Joe, though. I've seen those videos from Walmart. I've seen them from Kroger. I've seen them from other grocery stores that I don't know the names of. I've seen them for little boutique stores that are just independent shops.
Chick-fil-A does that as well.
Yeah.
In fact, they make all their gay customers wear rainbow face masks so they know who not to serve. The first big rally since the coronavirus restrictions was in Tulsa, Oklahoma in June. Here's the rationale for holding such an epidemiologically uncontrolled event, as given by first daughter-in-law and family hostage, Lara Trump.
Well, look, it's time now because people, I think, are ready to get back to some normalcy in life. And more so than just a campaign rally, this kind of feels like the kickoff to sort of reopening the country. We chose Oklahoma because they were the first state in the country to lift their COVID restrictions.
Reopening the country and reopening field hospitals and ICUs and mass graves. I think people like, Donald Jr. and Lara, the campaign staffers send out is like, this idea is totally batshit crazy. Like, who are we going to get to do it? Oh, fuck it. We'll just send Lara out and it'll just make it easier on the rest of us.
But that goes to the attitude of the administration, which is people are sick of it, so it should be opened up. COVID's not over because of the calendar. COVID's not over because you want it to be over. It'll decide when it's over, when we've taken appropriate restrictions, appropriate measures. But the passage of time, and Tara can speak to this more eloquently than I can, the passage of time isn't going to take care of COVID as that genius claimed in the video.
No, that's exactly right. And that's one of the things I think is most fascinating about this is when you look at which countries are doing well. The countries that are doing well are Rwanda and Vietnam and Nigeria. It's the places that have dealt with serious infectious disease much more recently than we have, and they take it seriously. They know not to screw around with it, and they know, when the public health experts say XYZ, we do XYZ, and they're doing much better as a result. We in the United States, we haven't had to deal with this for over 50 years. There's a loss of sort of social memory as to what you need to do to protect yourself, and a loss of social memory of the devastation that it can cause. And so you've got people who they have this COVID fatigue and they're like, well, we're tired of it. And they don't seem to grasp that they don't get to decide that. The virus doesn't care if you're tired.
One of the attendees of Trump's rally in Tulsa was Herman Cain, who later caught COVID and was dead within weeks. Some people recognize him from his 2012 presidential campaign. Some people recognize him from being the CEO of Godfather's Pizza, his 999 tax plan. But I prefer to remember this clip from the 1990s, singing about his love of pizza to a very familiar tune.
Imagine there's no pizza. I couldn't if I tried. Eating only tacos or Kentucky Fried. Imagine only burgers is frightening and sad. You don't have to pick it up now. On my skateboard I will go. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I just bought Domino's. Oh,
what did I just hear? And how can I get those minutes of my life back?
Oh.
Oh, that was fantastic. I love a parody song. He did such a great job on that. I'm eating only tacos or fried, Kentucky fried, imagine only burgers. Personally, I like to imagine that this is actually just a commentary on America's over-reliance on the meat industry.
I mean, he sings Imagine No More Pizza. I was a road comic and ate like one for 10 years. My colon and my asshole would be thrilled if I imagined there was no more pizza.
God, that's an image I didn't need.
The alternatives he gave you were tacos, burgers, and fried chicken. That's the lyrics of the song. Those are your only alternatives in this world.
People have always had cavalier attitudes towards their own health and well-being. A classic example is this restaurant catering to such clientele, as seen on this piece from ABC's Nightline.
In a country where calories are posted on the menu and the White House has a vegetable garden, sometimes the reality looks more like this. This monument to greasy gluttony is called the Heart Attack Grill.
PBR.
It's a sort of hospital-themed Hooters located in Chandler, Arizona, a suburb of Phoenix.
Get your arms in over here.
Every customer must wear a hospital gown.
I'm dying.
And they are waited on by scantily clad nurses. Still, it's what's on the menu that gets most of the attention. The single, double, triple, or quadruple bypass burger. Oh, and they do have fries called flatliner fries, fried in lard, and those are unlimited. To wash it all down, how about a butterfat shake? Anyone who is over 350 pounds doesn't have to pay.
I'm big, you know what I mean? And so why not?
Here you go.
Ernie Hart. Yes, that's his real last name. And yes, he is chowing down on a quadruple bypass.
Even though my cardiologist and my wife tell me not to come, and after surviving a coma and multiple heart surgeries, I still come. I enjoy the burgers.
I like to think that him clearing his throat was his way of fending off another heart attack. Oh, avoided another one.
It's got to be a uniquely American thing to embrace. Like that level of arrogance. I don't know how to process that. I don't know.
So I did a little digging on this. From what I understand, there is currently one in Las Vegas. And one of the things they're known for is the kitsch around the restaurant. So, Tom, I don't know if this will change your mind about wanting to go there, but at least according to one photograph, you can pee on Donald Trump's face at a urinal. So I don't know if that flips the script on this at all for you, maybe becoming a fan. Now, I read a lot about it, actually. I got a little deep dive into the Heart Attack Grill. It is described as a place where you can get a 9,982 calorie burger served by a buxom waitress, listen to karaoke, and wash it back with a shot of liquor served in a prescription bottle. And only one of those four things is appealing to me. After I learned that they do serve wine in an IV bag with a thing that you can like carry around with you, I'm now planning my destination wedding there.
To be clear, Abby, is that for your wedding or for your bachelorette party?
I don't know, but I'm planning a trip there. 2022, I'm getting an IV drip bag, red wine.
On that note, that's our show. Please join me in thanking our panelists, Jeff Hysen, Abby Mello, and our guest, Tara Haelle. And before I go, I'll leave you with this thought. I, for one, have always been into keeping away from people and avoiding any place that could get me sick. I'm not a germaphobe, I'm a trendsetter. So please, stop telling me we're all in this together, because that's the last thing I want to do or hear, be together, when we're all supposed to be practicing social distancing. Good night. This episode was written and hosted by Tom Myers, with panelists Jeff Hysen and Abby Mello and guest Tara Haelle. Theme music by Jeroen van den Burg. Special thanks to Debbie Abrams, Kaplan, Robbie Goodwin, and Michele Wojciechowski. Executive producer Tom Myers. Executive producer for ipmNation, Matt Connarton. For more information, visit tommyers.us.